A break in blitz north of the city. Silly season in full swing, holidays halted and a late night shopping scramble. Plus, the official forecast revealed Queensland's facing a catastrophic flood emergency with entire towns washed away. Are all class? We're there as our Year 12s learn their fate. And why 500 wickets aren't enough for the Lion King, his teammates predict history awaits.
Live from Adelaide, 7 News with Mike Smithson.
Good evening. We begin with shocking pictures of a broad daylight neo-Nazi protest in the northern suburbs. Live now to Hannah Ford. And Hannah, the group filmed themselves performing Hitler salutes.
They did, Mike. They descended to the Pavlos Hotel here in Paraka, which made headlines last month following the arrest of a freed immigration detainee. Dressed in black with their faces covered, members of the notorious National Socialist Network marched through the streets yesterday before gathering at the motel and performing Nazi salutes while chanting "Stop the rapes, deportation now." It was at this motel where an Afghani refugee released from immigration detention following a controversial High Court decision was rearrested after allegedly sexually assaulting a woman in one of the rooms. The 65-year-old was originally detained after a judge deemed him a danger to the community in 2016. The neo-Nazi protesters here yesterday clearly weren't deterred by new laws introduced to Parliament last month that will ban Nazi salutes. They'll carry hefty penalties of a year behind bars or a $20,000 fine. Police were called here yesterday, but by the time they arrived, the group had fled. SAPOL says at this stage it appears that there's no crimes that have been committed. Mike.
Thanks for that, Hannah. A northern suburbs man's faced court charged with historic child sex offences. The 53-year-old was arrested at his Parafield Gardens home on Saturday afternoon and charged with 2 counts of sexually abusing a child. It'll be alleged the offending occurred between 2002 and 2005. The accused man didn't apply for bail and will remain behind bars until March. Now to infuriating video of a gang of youths smashing their way into cars at Gawler. Police are investigating if 3 14-year-old boys arrested nearby were behind the reckless crime spree.
On Main North Road, a group of teens surrounds a Subaru before smashing the driver's side window. One of at least 6 cars broken into during a mindless crime spree across Gawler overnight.
Irritated, grateful it wasn't worse.
One of the boys even jumps on her bonnet, the thieves ducking for cover as a car and ambulance drive past them around 1 a.m.
The probability of them making a lot of money is very slim, and the probability of them getting caught is very high.
Among the other vehicles targeted was a removalist truck, causing major headaches for the owners.
We have to ring up clients and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, we can't provide you a truck."
The alarm was raised after one of the victims caught the culprits in the act.
It's just the inconvenience now of going through insurance companies, finding somebody to fix it and not having a car. It's the only car we got.
A couple of hours later, police were called to the Gawler South McDonald's where a group of youths was causing a disturbance. Police searched the area and found 3 teens hiding in this rail yard. A balaclava and stolen jewellery recovered nearby. While detectives are still investigating if the 2 incidents are linked, the teens have been released on police bail and will front court in February.
Sad that people feel the need to destroy other people's hard-earned, belongings. They're obviously bored, not enough to do.
Mitchell Sariovsky, 7 News.
A Theberton man accused of torching his own home has been released on bail. 72-year-old Gordon James Collingwood was seriously burnt in the blaze which broke out in a bedroom of his Smith Street house on Saturday. Court documents reveal police found a cigarette lighter in Collingwood's pocket. He was treated for severe burns to his face. South Australian holidaymakers are being warned to brace for more air travel chaos over the busy Christmas period. Adelaide Airport's preparing for its biggest festive season since the pandemic, and it's already off to a shaky start.
At Adelaide Airport, all they want for Christmas is a smooth journey.
Every time we get on a plane, something goes wrong.
With the festive season upon us, flight disruptions continue to hit South Australian travellers hard.
I have a family emergency in Melbourne. I need to be there this morning.
His flight, one of several either delayed or cancelled this morning, leaving frustrated passengers in limbo.
It's the last thing you want, basically.
Luke Vaselli's connecting flight was cancelled too, after floods forced the closure of Cairns Airport.
We had to now fly with Batik Air, which is a 22-hour layover in Kuala Lumpur.
Typical of a turbulent year for the airlines. A survey by consumer group Choice revealing 40% of travellers have had a flight cancelled or delayed this year, and more than half weren't given a reason for the disruption. Virgin Australia tops the list with the most cancellations over the past month, prompting an apology from the airline. We acknowledge that our performance was below our standards in November. Our teams will be working hard to get everyone where they need to go these holidays. As Adelaide Airport braces for its busiest Christmas since the pandemic, the AFP's launched a high-visibility operation targeting antisocial behaviour. The AFP says delays and cancellations have contributed to an increase in passenger frustration at airports here in Adelaide and right across the country.
If they're polite, courteous, they'll be met with the same by the airline staff, and the airline staff will work in the best of their powers to get them on their flights in time.
Travellers might not be holding their breath. Madison Stanley, 7 News.
An Adelaide truckie caught on camera dicing with death near the Barossa has been ordered off the road for a year. The 23-year-old was allegedly filmed swerving on the wrong side of the road last month, narrowly missing oncoming cars. As revealed by 7 News, he was sacked the moment his bosses saw the video. He'll face a magistrate in the new year. Well, the countdown to Christmas is on with exactly a week to go, and that means the all-important Christmas Day forecast has finally been released. Let's bring in Casey Treloar with the details. Casey, this is important. What kind of day are we looking at?
Mike, it is a forecast that I am sure many South Australians will be happy with. Not too hot and not too cold. The Bureau is predicting a forecast top of around 24 degrees, but more importantly, skies should remain dry. It is still 7 days away though, so the forecast, of course, is subject to change. Meanwhile, there's just 6 shopping days left, so any online orders from now might not make it in time, meaning in-person shopping is your safest bet, and there's no excuse to not get it done in time, with extended trading hours now in full swing. From tonight, stores here in Rundle Mall can remain open until 9 o'clock, with the 9 till 9 trading on until Wednesday, then open till midnight on Thursday and Friday, and over the weekend from 9 to 5.
Actually awesome, yeah, especially, yeah, like I said, when they're in bed, I can go out and definitely get all my shopping done, so yeah, it's great.
I love Christmas. Everywhere there is a decoration. We love shopping.
I think it's a good idea that they're open all week so everyone can get their last minute shopping done.
Now, not just the city, but it's in the suburbs too, with the Westfields at Marion, Westlakes and Tea Tree Plaza all open till late every day until Christmas Eve. As for your forecast, well, there is some warmer temperatures on the way in the lead up to the big day. More details on that in the forecast later this hour.
Great news, thanks, Case. South Australia's strong employment and rising property prices have been credited for the state budget returning to the black. It's the first time there's been a surplus in 4 years. The government raked in more tax revenue than expected.
That is good news for our state. It gives us the capacity to take on this very bold agenda that we're pursuing as a government.
We know that South Australian families are hurting, South Australian businesses are hurting, and instead of finding a way to return some of that to you, we've decided to spend every last cent of that.
It was a blowout of almost $500 million in operating expenses, though, with the government spending more than financial years its predecessor did during COVID. Just when they thought it was safe to come out, the people of cyclone-battered Cairns are now beginning to feel the fallout from a week's worth of rain. Tonight, there are extraordinary scenes of locals stranded on rooftops with drinking water running out, the airport flooded and roads ripped to shreds.
Ellis Beach, north of Cairns. They are seeing volumes of water not thought possible. The after effects of Jasper, a cyclone that might not have brought much wind, but unprecedented rain.
Yeah, definitely
I've never seen it raging like this before.
And not just the amount of water, but the speed it is moving.
At a pace that we have not seen before.
The SES says it's been overwhelmed. 1,000 calls for help, 300 rescues. Here, water levels top the first floor, some rivers recording their highest peaks since records began. And almost all done by boat. The rain too torrential, the clouds too low for aircraft.
The visibility for our pilots is down to zero.
Homes have been ruined, the cost unknown, and all this just days before Christmas.
The Christmas tree, everything's just under.
One family of 5 lost the lot.
When the water started coming up through the floor, everything was getting wet.
Dan Bateman's home also inundated. Fearing for his wife with a medical condition, they were rescued from the roof.
Just a huge relief to know she was safe.
Cairns is all but cut off, broad brown water as far as the eye can see. The airport shut down, runways submerged and aircraft abandoned. Dozens of cars too, but it could reopen as early as tomorrow.
Far North Queenslanders know how to deal with natural disasters, but this one is, this level of rainfall is next level.
Authorities begging people not to do this and instead stay indoors, or at Dagara and Bloomfield, the roof.
Being on the roof at the moment is the safest location for these people.
This is the main street of Mossman, awash. Road damage everywhere, in some places looking more like an earthquake has hit, not floods.
There will be months of repair work to be done.
Livestock lost too, but they saved one here.
That'll be one tired cow, but he's safe.
In Ingham, residents reminded of the dangers. It's not just water levels, but what lurks beneath, like crocodiles.
You would recall from past events we've found sharks, crocs, you name it.
15 kilometres inland at the Aramo pub, they're making do.
It's literally just a bucket list item. People want to tick it off their list and say we went to the Mo in a boat.
It's the pub with no pier. You just tie up the tinny to the front bar. The newly waterfront watering hole where the beer flows as fast as the water's outside. Chris Reason, 7 News.
More than 3 dozen homes and businesses are without mains water after a major pipe burst in the city. It flooded the foyer of an apartment block and nearby businesses in Halifax Street just before 1:30. Eastbound traffic is being diverted between King William and Pulteney Streets until repairs are completed. SA Water can't yet say how long that will take, but cask water is being distributed to customers who've been cut off. A woman has been stabbed to death, allegedly by a co-worker at the National Zoo in Canberra. Thousands of people were ordered to leave while police locked down the crime scene and arrested the suspect.
The zoo was buzzing with school holiday visitors, mostly families, and the first they knew something was wrong was the rush of sirens and police cars.
Oh, it's really horrible and it feels really bad.
Yeah, it is really shocking, yeah.
Inside the zoo's main building, a woman lay dead in a storeroom in a kitchen, a knife still close to her body.
Witnesses have described loud screams from around the commercial kitchen area, but at this stage it looks like she's been stabbed to death with a knife.
At first, no one was sure if a killer was still on the loose somewhere in the grounds, so everyone was ordered out. Visitors scrambling to the nearest exit and the main gate.
Some people I saw were upset, and worried, yeah.
A 29-year-old man was quickly in custody and taken to hospital under police guard. He'd apparently injured himself.
The deceased and the suspect were known to each other in that they were co-workers at the zoo.
Police aren't sure yet if that's where the relationship ended or whether the pair were known to each other socially or romantically. There were too many people and potential witnesses for police to interview on the spot, so everyone had their details taken as they left. But tonight, the only man they want to talk to is under guard in a Canberra hospital bed. Josh Martin, 7 News.
We have an alarming warning tonight from strategic analysts. Australia's defence industry is dangerously unprepared to deal with the very real risk of conflict in our region. A new report is urging a rapid revamp of the sector to respond to the growing threat posed by China.
As wars rage in the Middle East and Europe, and the risk of major conflict closer to home becomes a frightening reality. Fears are growing. Australia isn't prepared.
We want and need
our warfighters to win.
A new report urges a rapid reshape of the nation's defence sector, overseen by a defence czar, to coordinate and scale up local manufacturing of essential weapons and equipment, reducing the reliance on overseas suppliers.
This is particularly important because adaptation, improvisation and battle damage repair in wartime will have to rest on locally available industry.
Warning, without a massive uplift in capability and capacity, Australia's most ambitious defence project is in jeopardy.
We're not going to achieve AUKUS unless we have an industrial base that is united.
This report comes as the industry vents its frustrations at the government for taking too long to make decisions about which projects to progress, leaving many contractors in limbo and struggling to stay afloat.
I look at many Australian defence companies and wonder if they will survive into 2024.
The government argues it's investing record amounts in domestic manufacturing, promising to lay out detailed plans for the industry early next year.
We'll continue to ramp up that spending to give us that safety and certainty that the Australian people deserve.
As the threat of war marches ever closer. Rob Scott, 7 News.
A car has ploughed into Joe Biden's presidential motorcade, sparking a frantic response. It happened as the president was leaving campaign headquarters in his home state of Delaware. President Biden was hurried into an armoured vehicle by the Secret Service, with other agents surrounding a sedan with guns drawn. The cause of the crash is unknown, but the driver is cooperating with authorities. A woman has remarkably escaped with only minor injuries after a rollover crash on the southeastern freeway. The car she was driving took out several trees and part of a fence at Leawood Gardens. It happened near the Mount Osmond turnoff around 2:30 this morning. The MFS was called in to help with the clean-up. Well, it's a big night for the next crop of South Aussie footy stars, with this year's AFLW draft about to get underway in Melbourne. Andrew Hayes joins us from a draft party in Walkerville, and Hazy Elaine Grigg is set to make AFLW history.
Yeah, Mike, the 17-year-old Central District star is set to become the first Kenyan-born player drafted into the AFLW competition. So around 80 of Elaine's family and friends, as well as teammates, have gathered here at the Walker's Arms Hotel, ready for the big moment. But the star of the show, well, she's not here. Her dad, David, put together tonight's festivities, but at the last minute, the AFL organised for him and Elaine and mother Christine to fly to Melbourne to be part of the draft in person. But the moment certainly won't be lost on her, nor in Melbourne, when Elaine's dream will be realised.
Yeah, I'm feeling very nervous right now, but I think it's just the excitement will come in as soon as we go into Marvel, but yeah.
Super proud. She's worked so hard to get to this stage, you know. From an early age, I knew she was going to be a fantastic footballer.
She's such a great, footballer, and she's a good inspiration for the other kids, and so proud of her.
So she's projected to land between picks 5 and 15, meaning the small forward will likely end up in Melbourne. Port's first pick is at number 18 and the Crows at 22. So the draft gets underway in around about 15 minutes, but the party here probably set to go well into the night, Mike.
Oh, I'm sure it will. Thanks, Hazy. Really exciting times.
That's a great story.
It is. Hey, Bruce, what else have you got coming up?
Well, it's going to be a big, nervous night there, but that's a fantastic story there. But also our winning test team, they celebrated deservedly last night, but there will be a change for the Boxing Day test. Crows midfielder Jake Saligo tells us what his biggest battle is ahead of 2024. And the boats, big and small, should be getting nervous ahead of one of the world's great ocean races. Smith, I could see you on one of those boats.
I can't wait. I always loved Boxing Day, but I'm glad I'm on dry land. That's all I'll say.
Very clever.
Thanks for that, Bruce. Well, from unexpected elation to disappointment, we're there as South Australian students learn whether or not their hard work has paid off. We certainly hope it has. That's next. Also ahead, why we could see more e-scooters on our roads. From puddings to prawns, the supermarket price war promising cheaper festive favourites. A storm so wild it sent a passenger plane on an unplanned journey. And the IV beauty treatment sweeping Australia, claiming to cure hangovers. But do they work? The The anxious wait is finally over for thousands of Year 12 students and their parents, with SACE results out today. While some did better than expected, even those who didn't are being given encouragement.
After years of hard work, it all came down to this. Yes! Unley High graduate Lola Payne logged on this morning, her score hopefully enough to get her into occupational therapy.
Yeah, I'm so happy with it. It was kind of like in the range I was expecting.
Lola's among more than 15,500 students who completed the SACE this year, up 7% on 2022.
I think it also reflects the fact that we're now a little bit more steady from the impacts of COVID.
Some of the highest achieving students were recognised at SAMRI this afternoon. 40 will get commendations from the Governor.
All of the students you see today have been nominated by their schools, so they've all done well academically, but these students have gone above and beyond that.
I got a 99.8 in the end, so it's a lot higher than I was expecting, but it's nice to feel that all the hard work's paid off.
While their high school journey is officially over, many students will continue their studies next year at university. They'll find out if they've been offered a place into their chosen course at the beginning of January. For those who were left disappointed today, some words of encouragement.
Give yourself permission to work out what you want to do, when you want to do it, in your own time.
Grace Wallace, 7 News.
Well done, everyone. Well, the use of private e-scooters in SA is a step closer to getting the green light. The state government says 87% of people who responded to a survey think they should be allowed on local roads and paths. At the moment, only rental scooters can be used in certain areas.
So we just want to make sure that they're regulated in an appropriate way that allows people to use them, but also keeps the rest of the community safe.
The Premier says private e-scooters are likely to be legalised next year. The humanitarian crisis in Gaza is worsening by the day, with aid trucks being intercepted by desperate civilians. Israel is ignoring international pressure to scale back its operation as more Western governments call for a ceasefire.
The scramble for something to eat and drink in Gaza. Aid trucks now crossing the border with masked men on top, armed with sticks. But in the chaos, a load can be lost. Here, scattered boxes of bottled water become an instant target. Aid agencies say the food and water is being consumed on the spot as Gazans fight off hunger. Half the population is said to be starving. As Palestinians searched another home reduced to rubble for any survivors from Israel's latest bombardments, the IDF took international reporters to what it says is Hamas's largest tunnel.
Without demolishing the tunnel project of Hamas, we cannot demolish Hamas.
3 metres wide in parts, 4 kilometres long, apparently designed to transport Hamas fighters closer to Israel.
Looks like an innocent children's room.
Another tunnel said to have been found beneath a child's cot. The UK, France and Germany have now joined Western calls for various versions of a ceasefire. The US is expected to apply further diplomatic pressure this week. At a meeting of his cabinet, Benjamin Netanyahu said Israel would fight to the end, remaining defiant. In London, Hugh Whitfield, 7 News.
At least 13 people have been killed as wild storms hit Argentina. In a scary show of just how strong the wind gusts have been, a jet parked at an airport was seen being easily pushed around, even taking a mobile staircase with it. The destructive winds hit more than 150 kilometres an hour, uprooting trees and lampposts, with more than a dozen people confirmed dead when the roof of a sports centre collapsed. School holiday swimming programs are being expanded in a bid to reduce the number of devastating summer drownings. The annual VacSwim program was launched in Port Augusta this morning with 9 new locations across the state.
So our Australian culture is all about the water, the beaches, the rivers, the dams. You know, wherever we look through Australia, we're seeing that water safety is absolutely vital.
17 people drowned in South Australia last year, and experts say thousands of children missed out on crucial lessons during COVID. Half-price puddings and savings on prawns, turkey and ham after the break. The battle for your buck this festive season, the supermarkets offering super savings. Why the Bruce Lehrmann defamation trial live stream had to be suspended. The moment a night out at a pub to watch the UFC turned ugly. And what sparked this powerline fireball in a suburban street. The supermarket wars are heating up a week out from Christmas as families scout for bargains to ease cost of living pressures. Prices are dropping on some festive favourites, but overall shopping bills are likely to be much higher than last year.
There are just 7 sleeps left.
Merry Christmas, everybody!
And if you're hosting a Christmas meal,
there's a lot of people that aren't going to be able to afford a very good Christmas lunch.
The annual price battle on festive favourites has ramped up in supermarkets. The best Coles bargains are in bakery, spruiking a 50% saving on its luxury Christmas pudding.
We also have our traditional puddings down to $5. The incredibly popular gingerbread decorating house, it was $16.50, now down to just $10.
Woolworths fresh whole turkeys are $9 a kilo. Pork prices are also down.
There's some great ways to save across a number of different proteins.
For the almost 30% of Australians who plan to eat seafood on Christmas Day, there are no promotions at Aldi, but it promises its consistent low prices. 1 kilo of tiger prawns will set you back $27.
It's staples like potatoes and dairy, as well as summer fruits, where shoppers might need to think twice, with consumer experts warning prices will be higher than this time last year.
Prices are trending upwards. It's about pre-planning, looking online, and that you're ready to avoid all the other marketing and all the other specials that are going to be in your face at that time of the year.
Sarah Jones, 7 News.
Frightening video has emerged of a brawl in Melbourne showing the moment an afternoon at a hotel bar turned violent. Witnesses say the two groups were watching a UFC match when the on-screen action spread to pub patrons. Police are now searching for whoever started the brawl. Well, it's been compulsive viewing for many, but the Bruce Lehrmann defamation trial live stream was suspended late today over concerns for the mental health of a key witness. She's Fiona Brown, former Chief of Staff in the office where Brittany Higgins worked. Earlier, the trial heard from a media veteran.
Network 10's former news boss Peter Meakin worked on the project's Brittany Higgins program, today agreeing the government's response before it aired contradicted her claim her job was on the line if she went to police. Asked about the show's line,
a young woman forced to choose between her career and the pursuit of justice.
The only inference I can draw is that we're believing her story more than the government's. Did you think it worth going back to Higgins? I don't recall advising anyone to do it. In retrospect, would it have been a good idea? Well, it wouldn't have done any harm. In retrospect, we could have done a lot of things. But I think producer Angus Llewellyn did a good job. Lehrmann wasn't named, but Meakin says he knew the project was going further than an online article, including details about where he'd worked. You knew many more people would be able to identify Mr. Lehrmann from those additional facts. No, I didn't know that. It was pretty obvious, wasn't it? Not to me, it wasn't. We did take advice on how far we could go without identifying Mr. Lehrmann. Higgins' friend, Queensland State MP Sam O'Connor, says she told him of the alleged assault a few days later. I absolutely remember the word rape. That's not something you forget. In a special move, the court sitting late this evening to hear from Higgins' former boss, then Ministerial Chief of Staff Fiona Brown, who had previously asked to not give evidence on medical grounds, agreeing it was her notes in 2019 the government used to refute part of Brittany Higgins' account of what happened. The trial continues. Paul Caddack, 7 News.
Storm hit Florida has delivered this spectacular sight.
Yes, oh my God.
The fireball was a plasma arc, according to a local meteorologist, formed by a fault current. It was likely caused by a tree branch hitting power lines, feeding off itself until burning out. The Pope has celebrated his 87th birthday, joined by children from the Vatican's Children's Hospital. They helped the pontiff blow out the candle on his cake and also presented him with a bouquet of sunflowers as families sang happy birthday in his honour. Pope Francis used the occasion to speak about the importance of preparing for Christmas. Well, preparations are well and truly underway inside this workshop after the break. An inside look at new high-tech help making sure our deliveries arrive on time. Plus, why health authorities are warning against a booming medical craze. And millions of dollars up for grabs, the Medicare money you could be missing out on. Freight companies are calling last chance for online shoppers to order tonight or risk missing the Christmas cut-off. They're using new delivery technology to help customers beat the deadline.
Just a week until Christmas, these AI-powered conveyor belts at Adelaide Express in Bankstown are working overtime to get the goods under your trees. But even in the world of next-day delivery, time is running out.
Our cut-off for Christmas Day on an overnight service is today, so you need to be shipping by today.
The smart system in this depot is built for big packages, which is perfect, given the most popular items are oversized homewares. The computer tells each parcel exactly where to go, landing in a tray for your suburb before being heaved onto trucks and to your doors. An on-site physio at the ready. For customers on the East Coast, delivery is within a day. For Adelaide, 2 days. Perth, 5 days.
Hopefully we'll be able to see the concrete at some stage.
In other words, it's busy, but remarkably not as busy as Black Friday.
This Black Friday we've seen has been the biggest we've ever seen, so people have really embraced that online shopping during COVID and now stayed online and continuing to buy in that area.
This depot can process more than 10,000 parcels per day. Perhaps not enough if you're a Christmas crammer and put off your shopping till the last minute. Tom Saker, 7 News.
55,000 Australians have shared in $12 million from Medicare after updating their details on the MyGov app. The stockpile of unclaimed benefits has been building for years because customers didn't have their bank details registered. Well, there's more cash to be claimed, with 1 million people owed a total of $230 million. Taking a look at finance now, and the ASX 200 has closed down 16 points. Tabcorp was the big improver, up 23%, while Santos and ResMed both slipped. One Australian dollar is currently buying 67.15 US cents. Well, offering everything from a vitamin boost to a hangover treatment, IV therapy is a controversial trend indeed. Clients are paying hundreds of dollars for the promised benefits, but medical professionals are questioning if there's any value at all. So don't miss that story a little later on 7 News. Time for sport now. Bruce is back, and Brucey, the GOAT, might not be alone.
Smitho, as we went to air last night, of course, we watched Nathan Lyon take his 500th wicket and his 501st wicket. I'll tell you what, coming up after the break, he might not be a lonely GOAT anymore. He might be joined by a quartet of Australia's greatest bowlers. Good news at Crowlanders. One star signs on for 4 years while another faces his demons. And the weather forecast for the city to Hobart might keep a few crews awake at night. Welcome back. Nathan Lyon might not be the only GOAT after this summer. Our paceman could join Lyon and become Australia's greatest ever bowling quartet. Lance Morris was cut for Boxing Day after Cummins & Co destroyed Pakistan in Perth.
Every bonus day at home prevents the dreaded rotation. Understandably, Nathan Lyon didn't make the early flight out of Perth with teammates this morning.
Oh, it was great. It doesn't happen very often, so we're all a part of history being out there, just pumped for him. Just a champion, champion of the game.
After becoming the 8th player in Test Cricket's 500 wicket club, typical Lyon squirmed with all the praise.
I don't think we're talking enough about the partnership between Usman and Mitch Marsh on a challenging wicket against quality bowlers.
I don't think it's any secret that he's probably the most important cog in our bowling lineup.
Allowing Stark, Hazelwood, and Cummins to destroy another hapless visitor, Pakistan, all out for 89 with no chance of respite.
3 of us didn't have too heavy a workload in that first test, so I think we've all pulled up pretty well.
Take it from one who knows.
It's one of the best bowling attacks that's ever been put out on the field for Australia, there's no doubt about it.
Player of the match, the unshackling of mighty Mitch Marsh is a Cummins masterstroke.
It was nice to be back, and thank you for everyone for getting around me. It's been an incredible experience.
Marnus Labuschagne won't miss Boxing Day. He knew before scans showed no finger fracture.
It's going to have to take something pretty serious, I reckon, to have me miss a game.
Matt Carmichael, 7 News.
Adelaide striker skipper Matt Short is confident his side can start the season in top form despite a 10-day break in between their first and second games. The Strikers take on the Thunder tomorrow night with no match practice after their first game was completely washed out.
I think we're sitting fourth, but yeah, we're not even worried about that at this stage. Pretty much treating it as a 9-game competition, and yeah, hopefully we can get off to a fly on tomorrow night.
The game will be live and free right here on 7. Crows' young gun Jake Saligo has revealed his biggest battle ahead of the new season is a mental one. The classy midfielder admitting his away form let him down in 2023, and he's been working with a specialist to make sure it doesn't happen again next year.
Saligo's a warrior at Adelaide Oval, but also a warrior on the road.
My away record wasn't that great, didn't play too good on the road, so hoping to fix it up and be a bit more consistent this year.
To do that, the self-proclaimed overthinker's been leaning on the club's new psychologist.
Not dwelling on things is a big one. It's always hard on game day. You got like people screaming in the crowd and stuff like that, but just sort of keeping in my own head and keep playing through. So that was probably the biggest work on in the off-season.
Another thing to work on, his diet.
Well, me and Nixie sat down and we talked about my body and nutrition as well. It started to go downhill sort of midway through the season. I wasn't eating enough. And yeah, obviously you got to fuel your body.
It was a change housemates Josh Rochelle and Luke Nankervis were also on board with. Their eating habits now on song. While the content and singing may need some work, the trio has a growing presence on TikTok.
Not all players are just, like straight and down to the point. So I'm just showing a bit of our life and what it's like living with us three.
But while there's plenty of goofing around, the three Victorians aren't afraid to get real with each other.
Yeah, we have the hard conversations, like if we sort of sit in a three on the couch and just chatting about life and footy.
Josh Money, 7 News.
And a huge boost for the Crows women with superstar midfielder Anne Hatchard re-signing with the club for another 4 years. The 25-year-old is a 3-time best and fairest and a 3-time All-Australian. Western Bulldogs star Bailey Smith is taking a pragmatic approach to missing all of 2024 with a knee injury. The 23-year-old is also out of contract at the end of next season.
It's obviously frustrating, but there's problems and then there's like real world problems, so put it into perspective as well as you can.
When do you sort of expect to have to think about your future, given it's going to be a big decision for you?
Once I get training and stuff, I think that's when we'll start to properly put the mind to it.
Netball's open secret is now official, with superstar shooter Eleanor Cardwell leaving the Thunderbirds for the new Melbourne franchise, the Mavericks. Cardwell led Adelaide to the title this year with a player of the match performance in the grand final. It's not all bad news, though, with Latanya Wilson, one half of the dynamic defensive duo, re-signing on a 3-year deal. Well, there might be some second thoughts among the Sydney to Hobart fleet tonight. 8 days before the start, the Bureau of Meteorology couldn't deliver the usual long-range forecast. Conditions are too volatile, but a low is expected to lurk in the Tasman during the race.
There's a lot of other things to worry about, and so why worry about the weather a week out? Wait till 2 days out.
They did say the race record, Comanche's 1 day, 9 hours, 15 minutes and 24 seconds, looks very, very safe. Smitho, I know I say it every year, but there's got to be a smoother, faster and easier way from Sydney to Hobart, but I do love watching the yachts out there in the ocean.
So do I, Bruce. The perils of the sea. Thanks for that. Well, health authorities are warning against the rise of a booming health trend that's promising everything from a vitamin boost to help for hangovers. IV therapy is controversial, but clients are paying hundreds of dollars for it.
It's the health trend sweeping Australia. IV therapy, intravenous health and beauty treatments, claiming to boost how clients look and feel.
Immune and cognitive functioning, maintaining good weight parameters, a reduction in stress and anxiety.
By the pool, in the lounge room or at a clinic, clients are forking out hundreds of dollars to get their boost.
so-called vital vitamins injected straight into the bloodstream.
We can bypass the digestive system, allowing an absorption rate of up to 99%.
But some medical professionals question whether they really work.
At best, it may be a placebo. At worst, there's significant adverse effects that you can get from getting IV drips unnecessarily.
The Australian Health Practitioners Regulation Agency issuing a warning online. IV infusions are an invasive procedure with inherent health and safety risks.
Overdoses, infections, clots in the vein, all these sorts of really significant adverse effects are there.
But providers claim their patients are benefiting.
The benefits definitely outweigh any risk there might be.
The Therapeutic Goods Administration declined an interview but insists IV drips must be formally registered before use here in Australia. Any business found making misleading or unfounded claims can be penalised.
If it sounds too good to be true, then you can pretty much count on it is too good to be true, and whatever is being offered is false.
Grace Fitzgibbon, 7 News.
Time now to find Adelaide's favourite Christmas lights display. This merry makeover scored a nod in this year's Mix 102.3 competition, winning the most innovative display award. The Aberfoyle Park home on Wilma Court boasts more than 50,000 lights and a bright 5-metre tree. And another impressive display in the southern suburbs is located at Hoylake Crescent at Fairview Park. I reckon that might be in the northern suburbs. Both houses are in the mix for the People's Choice Prize. We'll cross live from the winning property tomorrow night in Casey Treloar's weather. Well, the Royal Adelaide Hospital has been transformed into a Barbie land. We'll take you inside the fantastic plastic ward next.
And weather-wise, we're warming up in the lead up to Christmas Day. Those details coming up live from Rundle Mall.
7 News doesn't just bring you the news. This is where news breaks.
Exclusive details about the accused couple's arrest.
7 News can show you the first pictures of the suspects charged with murder.
We strive to ensure you know the complete story.
Know the news with 7 News.
For Adelaide's latest news and more, tune in to 5AA Breakfast tomorrow morning.
Time for more on the weather now with Casey, who joins us again from Rundle Mall in case the cooler temperatures are back.
Look, just for a couple of days, Mike, and then in the run-up to Christmas Day, we do have some summer warmth and sunshine to enjoy. Meanwhile, we had a pretty warm and uncomfortable night. Our low today only dipping a touch below 24 degrees. Then it warmed up pretty quickly to a top of 31.7 late this morning. Right now, it's around 24 degrees in the city. And that's after a bit of a gusty westerly change swept through, delivering some milder temperatures this afternoon. There was some showers around western and southern parts of the state today. For the most part, though, it did miss Adelaide. Kangaroo Island copping the brunt of the day's wet weather, while temperatures in the far north tipped 40+ degrees. Now, a trough and low pressure system over central parts will continue moving eastwards. Then a cooler southerly airstream will extend across the state as a high pressure system develops south of the Bight. Interstate tomorrow, a hot and stormy days in store for Sydney, reaching 35. Just 18's the top for Melbourne with a clearing shower or two, and a hot and windy day over in Perth. Back home, a warm and windy day also about our northern centres. A top of 31 for Cooper Pedy and Roxby Downs, a windy 24 for Port Augusta, windy 2 in Whyalla and Kadina with a top of 22, cloud clearing and 25 for Port Pirie, 27 for Renmark, becoming windy and 20 for Murray Bridge and Edithburgh, just 18's the top for Victor Harbour tomorrow, 19 for Kingscote and Mount Gambier. And strong winds are forecast about western coastlines and the Spencer Gulf and Gulf St Vincent. A mild day for the city tomorrow with a low of 14 and a top of just 21 degrees. On Metro Waters, southerly winds reaching up to 25 knots north of Grange during the afternoon and evening, then turning southeasterly with seas increasing to 2 metres. Looking ahead, another mild top of 21 on Wednesday, then a sunny 25 on Thursday, 27 Friday and Saturday, then looking around 24 degrees on both Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. And before I go, let's take a look at tonight's ray of sunshine. Life in plastic is fantastic. The Royal Adelaide Hospital held an on-site Christmas decoration competition, each ward squaring off to sprinkle some festive cheer. The stroke and neurology ward coming out on top with their Barbie Land creation. From pink tinsel, fairy lights, even a pink tree. The forecast is clearly for a very pink Christmas this year. The Christmas spirit is going all around, right around Adelaide, Smitho. And just a reminder too, of course, the extended shopping hours for the Christmas season now on here in the city and the suburbs. Check out the opening and closing times on their websites.
Great stuff. Thanks, Case. Now a quick look at what's coming up on Sunrise.
As the day breaks,
the news breaks on Sunrise.
The unfolding fire emergency. Breaking news, the Middle East is at flashpoint.
Start with what's unfolding.
The winds have picked up massively.
Start with the team Australia trusts.
One of the biggest issues that's facing the country at the moment.
Start with Sunrise.
That's all the news.